He's so loud today. Can you show myself quickly?
And we are live. You're a little late, darling. I will switch, though, just for you. All right, ladies and gentlemen, Valeria wants to make sure she looks good, so we're going to switch over to her for a moment. You ready? There she is.
Yeah,
How do you look, darling?
It's fine.
I think you look pretty good. All right. I'm a little brighter. I feel like I'm a little brighter than you today. Maybe we need to up the lights or something like that. Anyway, more...
Do you want me to make this light brighter?
If you'd like, you can. Yeah, sure. More total lack of professionalism here on Toxic Masculinity, ladies and gentlemen. And as we call it, what's our tagline, darling?
Least professional show on YouTube?
The least professional show on YouTube. That's right. That's right. You are in for a treat today, ladies and gentlemen, because today's show is particularly unprofessional. I haven't read any of the news stories. I was busy working on a video from Mr. Reagan, the Mr. Reagan channel. And yeah, so I don't have any idea what I'm going to be doing today. I mean, I got the stories, but I'm going to be reading them right along with you. So this will be exciting. Is there anything? Your left side is bright. Yes, that's true. My left side is bright. Thank you very much. I did that intentionally because, you know, that right there, that's the only handsome part of me left after I got fat. So, all right. So, Valeria, do we have any exciting personal news, or are we just moving straight on to story number one?
Or opening segment?
Oh, my opening segment. I'm so glad you remembered. All right, ladies and gentlemen, you know what the show's called, but let's play it anyway. Toxic Masculinity. That's right, this is Toxic Masculinity. I'm your host, Chris Coles. This is my lovely wife, Valeria. And, you know, we're here to entertain you, possibly to bicker slightly.
Let's just not do this for 2 hours like we did yesterday.
Don't bicker for 2 hours? I don't know if that's possible. Woo, hello. Somebody's got a motorcycle. Jeff Noti writes, great. Love to watch you crash and burn. That's what we're here for, ladies and gentlemen. Valeria, try not to break any microphones today.
Okay.
As you can see, Valeria got some lovely flowers for Women's Day, which is March 8th, yesterday. Of course, I didn't buy them. She bought them for herself. Because I forgot, all right? It's not my fault, all right? It's not my fault. There's nothing you can do when you forget something, okay? I remembered on the 7th, and I said, I'm going to buy you flowers.
Yeah.
And then I did it. I'm a horrible husband. All right, if you have a Russian wife, buy her flowers on March 8th. And you know, I shouldn't say that. I'm going to get in trouble.
Why?
It should be easy for me to remember Women's Day because one of my exes, it was her birthday. And she was Eastern European. So that's how I remember. That's how I remember. Well, anyway, I remember your birthday too.
What's my birthday?
July something. I don't remember. No, I know what it is. All right. So let's get to the first news story, darling.
Okay. Piers Morgan fired for refusing to #believe her.
Piers Morgan has been fired for refusing to believe her. I love this story. Okay, so this is actually a continuation of a story that we did yesterday. Oh, shoot. Sorry, guys. More lack of professionalism right here. There we are. It's a continuation of a story that we did yesterday about the Meghan Markle interview. And in fact, I reposted a video. I was going to post a new video last night, but instead I posted this Meghan Markle video that I did months ago. And I was hoping that it would get a nice bump because of she's in the news right now, you know, just capitalize on people's particular interests right now. I'm getting a lot of good comments, but YouTube has started to restrict my channel to only subscribers. So unless you subscribe to Mr. Reagan, you actually will never see a Mr. Reagan video pop up as a recommendation. They won't show them to you unless you're subscribed to my channel, which is really quite shocking, actually. I occasionally will get a video that goes over like 92% subscribers. So it'll show you how many people subscribe to your channel, watched your video, and how many people that are unsubscribed to your channel have watched your video. And on all the videos recently, it's like 92% subscribed, which means that nobody's that's unsubscribed seeing it. Because how many channels do you watch regularly that you'd never subscribe to? I mean, I would say most of them for me. I rarely subscribe to channels. I just watch them consistently. Then they're suggested to me, and every once in a while I'm like, hey, I haven't seen that show in a while, and I have to go look it up. But with me, if you're not subscribed, you are not getting thumbnails from my show. That's how that goes. Anyway, so thank you, YouTube, for effing me. That's amazing. All right, so let's get on with the story. Enough whinging. I don't want to be too much like Meghan Markle here. All right, so Meghan Markle, obviously, she did this interview on Oprah where she was like, poor little rich girl. She's like, oh, I'm so rich. It's terrible. I hate being rich, and I'm a princess, and my life is so terrible. And it was just ridiculous. I mean, I think if you kind of had a kind of issue with Meghan Markle before she did this interview, you really hated her after this interview. People, look, let's move to our Meghan Markle correspondent here. Oops, what am I doing? Valeria, why don't you tell us what the people are saying on the internet about Meghan Markle currently after this interview? What's the reaction?
Well, I'm watching two Russian-speaking bloggers that talk about Meghan for the last 2 days.
Yeah.
And she's completely destroyed there.
They're destroying her on the show. You mean they're saying a lot of horrible things about her?
Not horrible, the truth.
Right.
How it was actual and what she said, like how much victim she.
Yeah. Because there's some people really follow this royal stuff very closely, and they can tell.
I
right.
always did.
That's why you're the correspondent.
I was
here.
always interested.
But the point is, the people who follow it very closely, they know what's really going on behind the scenes.
Yeah, and a lot of people love her. A lot of people hate her. Well, I did not like her from the beginning because I suspect she's going to be a disaster.
Mm-hmm.
Even like her cousin said, if you're going to let her in the family, it's going to be a disaster.
Yeah.
That happened to be a disaster, so.
So they predicted disaster, or they are predicting disaster in the future.
Her relative said that she's going to be a disaster for you.
Right. So she predicted that ages ago, and now bless you. She was complicated person even before she got in royal family. Right.
She was complicated back then.
So this relative predicted, and now it's come true.
Can you imagine now? Because a relative know her from since she was a child.
Right.
She was in Hollywood.
Right.
Like.
So this isn't like a huge surprise for people who follow this stuff closely.
Yeah, it's not.
Now, but it is a big surprise, or somewhat of a surprise, for those of us who don't care. And one thing that, but one person that it wasn't a surprise for how horrible she's been is Piers Morgan, because Piers Morgan has a bit of a history with her. I think she's interviewed with him before or something, and she was a bit difficult.
I think Piers Morgan. I watched what he said.
Yeah.
In terms of, I watched some clips that my Russian YouTuber put on her show when she was explaining what he said, what was the problem, even before this interview, like way back, because she was on the news a lot, especially criticized by British press. And I think, even though I don't really like her, I'm not on her side, which probably gonna put me in big trouble in the future. Well, that's what I think. And I think that he wasn't always fair to her. He was too harsh, like too harsh.
Right.
You can't say the truth, but how he presented it.
Well, that's kind of who he is. He's kind of like a bit of a
I find
jerk.
it disturbing, even though it's hilarious. But I think it's too much.
He is funny, but he is also a bit of a jerk. It's true. But okay, but this is bizarre. This is bizarre because he's been fired. And I mean, I don't even understand how this could possibly be justified in any kind of a way. Now, he's quit, actually. He's resigned. But he was fired. They said, you resign or we fire you. You know that's what happened. So he's been fired for asking the question. Oh no, not asking a question. For saying that he doesn't actually believe her when she was speaking in her interview. He said that specifically. He said, let's see here. I wouldn't believe her if she read me a weather report, he said. And the real concerning things to people is that he was talking about how she complained that she was suicidal. Right.
That was a total lie.
Right. But see, so you're saying that
Suicidal?
too. You're saying that too. You're saying that was a total lie as well.
How can you think about suicide? What was Cardi B clip? What was the reason?
I wish we had it. I could just
Yeah.
yeah, she's either such a delicate person that she should probably not be famous.
She's not delicate. She's pretending to be delicate.
That's the other option.
She
right?
has rights to say it because she is.
Or she recognizes that being a victim has benefits in our society, and she's faking it to reap those benefits.
She's
And I don't think it's
she is a good actress.
right.
She is a good actress.
Yeah. Valeria, look into the camera like this and be like, my life is terrible. You don't actually have to do it. I tweeted about this because I realized that all she had to do, if she wanted to win people over and make people love her, conservatives and leftists alike, all she had to do is go on that Oprah show and be like, you know what, Oprah? I've complained a lot over the years about this little detail and that little detail, and maybe people didn't treat me quite right here or there. I didn't feel, but I'm going to be honest with you. My life is awesome. I'm freaking rich. I married one of the princes of Great Britain. I have some beautiful kids, I live in a mansion. Life is good. I have nothing to complain about.
I mean, you can complain about lack of stuff that you want to do, like in movies and being in movies. Yeah,
No, she can't complain. She doesn't have a right to complain.
No, you have a right.
No, she doesn't. She flies private. She flies on private jets. Anyone who flies on private jets, no right to complain about anything in your life. And if she would have said something snarky like, you hate me because you ain't me, or something like this, I think that she would have won people over. A little bit of a sense of humor, a little bit of self-deprecation, a little bit of, of a recognition of her. So this is what people always say about like white people in America. You need to recognize your privilege, right? And it's mostly white people saying that, actually. but a lot of white people aren't actually that privileged. Aren't privileged really much at all, at least relative to other people in America. But Meghan Markle, good God, I would say she may be the single most privileged person on earth. On earth. I mean, you might say Oprah is, but Oprah's old, overweight, not an attractive woman. Meghan Markle's a beautiful woman. She's got everything going for her. She's like golden. She's not allowed to complain.
I think she's greedy for the fame. She wants to be more famous.
Right.
Because she said on the interview, I left everything. I left Hollywood. I left my career.
Yeah.
I don't think a lot of people knew who Meghan Markle.
Well, in life, we all make decisions, right? We all make decisions about career or family. Everybody makes those decisions. Where do you want to live?
You can't compare career and family. You had a different career in Buckingham Palace. If you want to do Hollywood movies, okay, do it now. But why would you put so much negative stuff on your husband's family?
Just make the decision. Say you're sorry.
At the end of the day, you're going to lose this war.
At the end of the day, she should apologize for causing turmoil in the royal family.
She won't apologize. I just hope the palace will do investigation. Like, palace was silent for the whole time until she started doing this.
Yeah.
Rumors, interview, like exposure and stuff.
Honestly, it's such a stupid story. It's ridiculous that we spend so much time on it, but it's something and I like hearing you talk, so it's fun. But can you imagine? Piers Morgan has had an amazing career. I mean, I don't really like him, but he's done some amazing things in his life. I agree with him on some things. I don't agree with him on others. I mean, whatever. He's all right. But at the end of the day, he said some crazy stuff. Like, he said some really stuff that I think leftists would find very offensive. And he ends up getting fired over saying that he doesn't believe Meghan Markle was actually suicidal. That's why he gets fired. I mean, that's insane to me. That's like, to me, this is like mind-boggling. It's like you're not allowed to not believe Meghan Markle. Everything Meghan Markle says is true, and if you don't believe her, you're not allowed to have a job. That to me is completely insane. I don't know. No comment?
So I just think that Buckingham Palace was silent for the whole time. And recently they actually start investigation on how many people left while Meghan Markle...
Did I interrupt you and you're trying to finish your thought?
Yeah. That Meghan Markle was in charge of the assistants, like sending a helicopter pilot to get her pizza and stuff like this, and a lot of people left.
Right, a lot of people quit the royal palace because she was such a pain.
Was silent until now. They're just investigating. I think they're just going to do something now.
What do you mean? What can they do? What are you talking about?
They can bring people. People can start talking.
Right.
Of course, from the palace approval. What did she do? Because she.
But what are you talking about? They're not going to like try her for crimes.
No, it's not the
You mean
crime,
just like leak information to the press?
I don't think people will be silent about.
So you think they're going to put out some kind of
how she actually?
Do you think they're going to put out some kind of statement, or they're going to leak information to the media?
Yeah.
That'll make her look bad. Okay, that's what you're saying. Well, I for one am sick of this story. I just wanted to talk about how ridiculous. We got way more than I thought. I just want to talk about how ridiculous it was that Piers Morgan got fired over this. The UK. Okay, they said. Okay, let me read some of this because they said that they got 41,000 complaints at like Ofcom or something like that. I don't know. Anyway, they said they got 41,000 complaints. Here it is. The announcement comes after broadcasting regulator Ofcom launched an investigation after it received more than 41,000 complaints regarding a comment made by the presenter following Harry and Meghan's interview with Oprah Winfrey. In a statement, the broadcaster said, following discussions with ITV, Piers Morgan has decided that now is the time to leave Good Morning Britain. ITV has accepted the decision. No, he didn't. He got fired. The Duchess of Sussex opened up about her suicidal thoughts during her time at the royal family in a deeply personal and explosive interview with Oprah Winfrey. Meghan said that she got to the stage where she just didn't want to be alive anymore. After the clip aired, Morgan said during primetime program, "I'm sorry, I just don't believe a word she says. I wouldn't believe her if she read me a weather report." I love that. I love that he said that because you know what? He knows her personally. He's followed her career. He doesn't believe her. Why is that a problem? Why is it a problem that he has an opinion? Why is it a problem that he is able to listen to somebody and say that he doesn't believe them? He thinks they're lying. Why does that get you fired? That's the craziest thing I've ever heard in my life. That is deeply offensive to me as a human being. And everyone in Britain should be ashamed. 41,000 complaints. They got 41,000 complaints from like 6 people. There's just 6 people calling over and over again. Anyway, all right, I'm done with this story. Next story.
Okay, survey finds atheists are more likely to get vaccinated.
Ah, that's very interesting.
Of course they do, because they don't believe in God, and they don't think they have like a protection, like a natural. They more believe in science.
Atheists. Well, okay. So I don't know if atheists don't really have a God or a faith or a set of principles based on anything beyond, physics, I guess. So it doesn't make any sense to me that they would. But there is a certain. I think there is a certain number of atheists that are nihilists. I think nihilism is sort of the logical conclusion of atheism, at least in the way I see it. I've never heard an atheist explain their philosophical view of the world in any way that makes any sense outside of being a nihilist. That doesn't make any sense to me. So if you're a nihilist and you only believe in physics and chemistry and science, then it does make sense that you would be more you'd have more faith in science than somebody who may have other things that they believe in. But let's have a read, because I don't actually know what this says, because I didn't get a chance to read it. So let's have a look here. Atheists are more likely to get vaccinated, survey finds. Atheists have a reputation for putting their faith in science, not divination. Exactly what We just said. Now it's a fact. A new Pew Research poll survey, shows that the godless are more likely to get vaccinated for COVID-19 compared to religious groups, as 90% of atheists responded that they will definitely or probably seek the shot or have already received their first vaccination dose. Meanwhile, an average of 77% of Catholics will go for the jab, and only 62% of Protestant participants, including white or Hispanic evangelical worshipers at historically black churches, will do the same. By contrast, nearly half, 45% of white evangelicals, say they definitely or probably will not seek the coronavirus vaccine, regardless of the manufacturer. Insights into how various spiritual communities currently approach vaccination were first reported by Religious News Service as part of a broader report by Pew Research to investigate Americans' intentions regarding COVID-19. Now, I talked about this in an earlier video, how there is a kind of divide in America between Christians and scientists and just the scientific community generally. And it's really a shame. It shouldn't be like that. There's no need, really, I don't think, to divide Americans against science, or to divide or to pitch science against pitch or pit. I think it's pit. To pit scientists and the scientific community against Christians. I don't really know why that happened, except that there was a kind of reluctance, I think, in the early 20th century for Christians to accept the evolution of man as an answer to how man was created, because they thought it was it contradicted, the divine origins of man by God. And because of that hesitance to believe that, some scientists decided that, well, Christians are stupid. And there was this really vicious lashing out against Christians and people of faith throughout the country. Over the years, it just got worse and worse and worse. And I think that's a big mistake of scientists. You don't need to be hateful of Christians to conduct your science. That doesn't help you in any way. In fact, it just turns people against you, and then it makes things more difficult. If, for instance, you have a vaccine that's actually viable and good, and people should try to take it, if people are overly skeptical of you, it may end up in a situation where you can't convince them to take it, because you have created so much ill will against scientists and science that people are afraid to take it because they don't trust you. Scientists. One thing, I don't trust. It's harder for me to trust atheists. I wouldn't say I don't trust atheists at all, because a couple of my best friends are atheists. But I think that if I don't know you and you say you're a Christian, I mean, sometimes people say they're a Christian just to gain your trust, and then they really scam you. But so I'm kind of skeptical of everyone. But I'm certainly, if I believe that you are in fact a true believing Christian, I'm going to trust you a little bit more than I would, somebody who's an atheist, because I just don't see how an atheist has any kind of principles. Like, what's to stop an atheist from doing bad things? I still don't understand that. They're like, oh, well, we work by the humanist rule of, what do they call it? I forget. Anyway, they have certain principles that they live by, that they apparently live by, but it doesn't make sense to me. None of it really makes sense to me unless you have a core presence in the universe that you have to answer to at the end of the day, right? That you can look up to, that you have some kind of respect for, that you have some kind of what's the word?
Well,
Gratitude.
Let's start that this vaccine
Yeah.
is not a traditional vaccine.
Right, it's an experimental vaccine.
Experimental.
Yeah.
So I prefer to wait 5-10 years, or just make not mRNA, just make
That's the other thing that I
vaccine.
was going to. That's the other thing I was going to say.
If they
Well,
will
it would
make,
take too long to make the traditional vaccine.
I will wait.
But the point I wanted to make was, it may be in some cases actually better to be more skeptical of science. Like, I don't know about this particular vaccine, but there may be a time when science comes out with something that seems magnificent, and it's actually a disastrous, right? And the people who are actually a little bit more skeptical of it may be the ones that survive it, come out of it unscathed. So just to have faith in science is to have faith in man, which we all do on a daily basis. I mean, we're in a tower right now, in a skyscraper built by man, engineered by man. You never know if that engineer was a good engineer or a pretty good engineer. He's a pretty good engineer.
That survived 8 earthquakes.
Earthquakes, yeah. I mean, this building was built quite a long time ago, I think. So hopefully it's safe. But things made by man, they don't always work out. But I think that we all have to trust each other a little bit as a society. Maybe it's the right thing to do to be skeptical. Maybe it's the right thing to do to trust science in this case. I'm sure we'll find out in the coming years. I'm more likely to trust science, actually, just generally. You're a little bit more skeptical of the vaccine. I know a lot of the people watching are more
I can
skeptical.
just say my body, my choice, okay? In terms of vaccination,
Right.
guys.
All right, well, the point is that atheists are more likely to take the vaccine, which I don't really think comes as a surprise to anyone, but it's an interesting story nonetheless. Just really goes into the psychology of how people think. And one thing, let me just say this about atheists. There's probably some atheists watching. I have some atheist fans, I know that. A lot of atheist conservatives, which I love. But I'll tell you what, the problem I have with atheism and atheists, at least with the ones that evangelize their atheism, is that atheists tend to be incredibly smug. There is a kind of smugness, very much like Democrats, where they'll kind of lecture people and talk down to people as if they're stupid because they believe in God and they go to church and you're stupid because you don't believe the same things that I do. Well, I mean, Christians can say the same things about atheists, but we don't because we're not a-holes. and that's how I think it's always difficult to convince people that you're right of things, I think. Well, maybe not. I mean, maybe that's a good way of convincing people you're right. If you're smug and you're an a-hole, some people don't want to be made fun of, and so they'll agree with you just so that they can be on the team that is a little bit more mean, so they don't want to be on the victim team that's being attacked. But you're probably not going to have that many friends. I've met Michael Shermer in real life. We did a presentation together once, and he's very short. I don't know if that means anything. Just wanted to put that out there. All right. like weirdly short. Okay. Next story.
Americans are not confident in Biden's mental condition. Oh,
yeah.
really?
I read this headline, but I didn't read the article.
Even his dog is not in a good mental
I
condition.
know the dog had to be sent back to Delaware for biting somebody else. That's kind of a bit of a shame. Nobody hates dogs. Even Biden's dog. You gotta love the dog. But let's see here. Shock poll. It says this is from Gateway Pundit. Shock poll. Oh, this is shocking. Half the country not confident in Joe Biden's mental and physical condition. No joke. Okay, let's see here. For over 2 years, the liberal media has been lying to the American public. To the American public? A publican, it says? Somebody at Gateway Pundit needs an editor here. About Joe Biden's mental state. Joe Biden is in midstream dementia, and his gaffes are getting harder and harder for the liberals and their media to hide. Let's see here. The latest Rasmussen poll released on Tuesday shows 30% of voters say they are very confident in Joe Biden's physical and mental ability. And at least 30% of those are lying. No, I would say of the 34%, I would say most of them are lying. There is no way that you are, quote, very confident of Joe Biden's physical and mental ability.
Is that 40% who actually voted for Joe Biden?
That was 34%. 40% say they are concerned with Joe's mental and physical decline.
Okay, so actually he got 34%
They're very confident, yeah. They're very confident.
So now I know how much Trump won, 66%, right?
66%.
Awesome, that's what I want to know.
Well, there's probably a certain contingent that say they're somewhat confident. Oh my God. This number is such a lie. Every one of those people, I think, probably are lying. I mean, I would say, okay, I think it's possible there's somebody out there who's very
Chris,
confident.
the rest of the people are not even alive.
Yeah, the people who voted. No, look, there's probably somebody out there who's very confident in Joe Biden's mental and physical condition, but they've got to be like in their hundreds. There's somebody that's in their hundreds in a wheelchair, can barely move or speak. They're like, Joe Biden seems pretty sharp to me. Yeah. That's the only people who think Joe Biden is got all his faculties. Is that it? Is that the whole story? That was the whole story. Wow. Okay, I didn't check that out already. I mean, we could click on the Rasmussen poll, but I think that really says it all. I think we've covered that as extensively as it needs to be covered. Shall we move on to the next story, darling?
Yep. Illegal immigration on track to top past 3 years combined.
Wait, sorry, what?
Illegal immigration.
Yes.
Okay.
On track.
On track.
I don't understand my own wife and her crazy accent. All right, let's move to the desktop and have a look here. Uh-oh, Candace Owens, 25% off. Is she looking beautiful? That's amazing. Candace. All right, well, maybe I'll have to watch that show. That's from Daily Wire. So there's a little ad for you for Daily Wire. All right, Arizona border chief says that illegal immigration on track to top the past 3 years combined. The past 3 years combined. If you take all those illegal immigrants, we're on track to surpass that in 2021. We've already surpassed.
Did you hear about the accident that happened where people died?
The traffic accident?
Yeah.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, we talked about it on the show a little bit.
Did we?
Yeah, I did. I mentioned it, I think.
Oops.
All right, let's see here. So, we've already passed 2018. It's only March. We've already passed the 2018 numbers. A U.S. Border Patrol office official. I know, learn to read. I say that every single episode because I don't know why. Said that illegal immigration is on track this financial year to top the past 3 years combined. I don't know what financial year means. Let's see here. John Modlin, the interim chief in charge of the Border Patrol's Tucson sector, revealed how large the ongoing flood of illegal immigration has grown over the past several months. Modlin said that the current pace continues unabated. Illegal immigration will top all of 2018, 2019, 2020 combined. So right now, we're about 100% over where we were this last fiscal year. It's weird that people talk in fiscal year, especially for an immigration official. Why don't you just talk about the year?
Chris, it just occurred to me. Our last two topics.
Yeah.
Sorry, bringing it back.
Is this a digression?
They're concerned about Biden's mental conditions because his dog bite the security guy, or was it Biden?
You think Biden actually bit the security guy and they're blaming it on the dog? Yeah. I was just trying to sniff. It got out of control.
Yeah, John was trying to be funny. Okay.
That is
$2? Just $2 for what?
For Valeria's
being
hilarious
awesome?
joke.
Yeah.
So that's what I was going to say when we started taking money, when this thing opened up for people to give us money to ask questions. Sometimes it's a little tricky to know where to type in the thing. Like my brother
actually have like a smile emoji.
Oh, so they did type
So
something
thank you, Nico Greco, for $2.
Oh, a little shout out. Very good. Very nice. Okay, let's see here. Anyway, we've already surpassed the first 4 months of this fiscal year. We've already surpassed all of 2018. If the flow continues at this rate, at the rate it is here, by the end of this fiscal year, we will have surpassed. Why does it keep saying fiscal year? Stop saying that. If the flow continues at the rate we will have surpassed 2018, 19, and 20 combined. We're just repeating things. This story is really packed full of fluff. Come on, Daily Wire. You guys can do better than this. Anyway, they're just repeating the same thing over and over again. It's a lot of immigrants. All right. We need the wall. Okay, what else do we need? We need the wall. We need to discourage immigrants by sending them back. Look, I'll tell you, this is what I think about the illegal immigration system, right? Illegal immigration situation. So they criticize Donald Trump for treating the kids in cages poorly, which he didn't do, right? But they weren't treated particularly well because you don't want them treated particularly well. You don't want You don't want everybody from South America to know that if you come to America, you get a week in a 4-star hotel with, with bed service and all the amenities, all the room service that you want. If you want your bed turned down, just make sure you press the button. Like, we don't want them to think that they're going to stay at the Four Seasons by illegally crossing the border. That's not what we want them to think. But I'll tell you what. If that's what it takes to stop the left-wing crazy criticism, I say let's do it. Let's build a bunch of 4-star hotels, like, a few hundred of them, have the turn-down service, have the little gourmet coffee for free anytime they want. We'll have Trump set it up, because we've stayed in the Trump Hotel in Chicago. Amazing, highly recommended. Best hotel we've ever been in? I think best hotel we've ever been in. We've been in some pretty nice places.
In terms of service,
yeah,
space, view.
Yeah.
God.
The ceilings were super high, which is very unusual in hotels. Anyway.
Another $3 from Nico Greco with different emoji.
Thank you, Nico Greco. So look, let's build the hotels. Let's anybody who wants to cross the border illegally, we'll put you up in the hotel. But once you cross that border illegally, you get on a list. We take your DNA, we take your fingerprints, we ship you back to whatever country you came from, and you are never allowed to come back to the United States. If you cross the border illegally, if you're caught here in America illegally, you are never allowed to come back. We will ship you out of this country. You are never allowed to come back. But you do get a nice couple of nights in the Trump Hotel down at the border. Turn down service. We will treat you so well. We will treat our illegal immigrants so well. But once you're shipped back out of here, and we'll give you a nice flight as well. It's not going to be some cheapo, crappy flight. We're going to fly you on a nice, beautiful plane right back to your home country. We might push you out with a parachute, but before you get a little bit of an adventure on the way. But no, you're not allowed to come back to America. That's it. We're taking your DNA. We're taking your fingerprints. If we catch you here again, you are not going into the 4-star hotel. You're going straight into prison. So, yeah, come once, fine. But then you're screwed after that. So that's my, I will solve all of our problems here in America. All right, next story.
Just want to say thank you to Frank James for Super Chat.
What does he say? What's he said?
It's just an emoji wearing sunglasses.
Everybody's sending us emojis. If you want to send us money with emojis, you are welcome to do it, ladies and gentlemen. That's a great idea. Frank James, is that his name?
Yeah.
A gentleman and a scholar.
Okay, so I guess that's going to be our last topic.
Oh, no. We've got one more.
No, one more. Yeah, and this one is going to be the last one.
Yeah.
Black Lives Matter supporters harass young cheerleaders over their white privilege.
Yeah, I haven't read this yet, so this is like a little bit disconcerting, but let's have a look at this. A megaphone-wielding woman ridiculed their pretty little gorgeous outfits, gorgeous hair, and gorgeous bows. You know what? Let's just have a look. I'm going to go ahead and put this on. Let's go. I haven't seen this yet, so let's have a watch.
Black mothers are bearing their babies while white mothers send their children to cheer competitions. Do something black today with your white privilege. Thank you. Do something black today with your white privilege. Thank you.
Non-white cheerleaders? That's the problem?
They were, they were all white, I guess, or something. But wow, I've actually seen that clip on Twitter. It didn't occur to me they were cheerleaders because the caption said something about like little girls. Yeah, this is it. Black Lives Matter activists harassed a group of young children in Louisville by mocking them for their white privilege. Yeah, so I did actually see this post by Ian Miles Chong earlier. I just didn't catch that they were cheerleaders, but that's pretty unbelievable. I'm not even gonna read the story because you know what? I'm just gonna react because what a horrible, 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 horrible person. You're yelling at these children for their white privilege? How effing privileged are you with your friggin' megaphone sitting on the corner of the street harassing everybody? You need to get arrested, lady. People shouldn't be allowed to do that. I mean, okay, I get it. We have to have the freedom of speech, but we shouldn't have the freedom of harassment. We shouldn't have the freedom to, like, I mean, okay, I get it. We have to have that freedom because, you know, we have to be able to talk about things that people don't like and make them uncomfortable. But, like, harassing children to me is crossing a line big time. Big time. Before I go off, because I'm going to go off, I want to hear what you have to say about this. Because you're a pretty little cheerleader. All right, let's put the camera on her so she feels really uncomfortable. All right.
Well, I mean, first of all, I think you're right because it should be a crime harassing children.
Harassing children is way different than just harassing people generally.
Yeah.
You know, I've seen some pretty vicious harassment, but why would you harass little children like that? They didn't do anything to you.
What are parents gonna do now? Because you need like explain to them, and what are you gonna say? What are you gonna say them? That no, it's okay to be white,
Yeah.
or
yeah,
all of these girls just gonna grow up,
yeah.
change their
You know, it's a good idea. You know how you make people racist? You get people all of the same race to just harass people of another race.
I think they are not gonna like you when they grow up.
That's my point. Yeah. If you get a bunch of Black Lives Matter activists going up to little children and every couple of weeks or so going and harassing them, those children are going to grow up thinking black people are crazy, evil psychopaths. And that's a terrible thing, right? And I'm sure those little girls probably have some friends that are black and they probably don't, but I mean, what a horrible, horrible woman. And how stupid is she? And how stupid is he? And listen, let me tell you guys a story because I have a video, probably my most ever popular video on YouTube, weirdly, because people who don't like me found it. But I told a story in that video of a good friend of mine named Liz. That I was friends with this woman when I lived in Portland, Oregon. And I think I've told this story once before on this show. And she didn't want me to date this blonde girl that we were going to the same church. And there was a blonde girl at that church. And Liz had been going there for a long time. And I hadn't been going there for very long. And I said, hey, I think I'm going to ask that girl out. And Liz said, oh, if you ask her out, we can't be friends. So I thought, and Liz was a fat, not attractive girl. Let me just say, well, it's true. It's true. It gives you this look like, don't say that. That's what she is. Okay, she's fat. She's not an attractive woman. Some black women are beautiful. She's not one of them. So she says, I can't be friends with this girl. So I think they have some kind of a problem with each other. So I said, well, what's the deal? Like, do you guys not like each other? What's the deal? She goes, oh, no, I don't know her. I'm like, well, what's your problem with her? She goes, I can't be friends with blonde girls. Especially not beautiful blonde girls. If you date a beautiful blonde girl, we can't be friends. I'm like, what the hell happened to this woman? So I say to her, well, what happened? Like, what's your deal? And she goes, when I was a little child, there were these beautiful blonde girls at my school, and they made me feel terrible about myself. And I always hated the fact that I was black, and I hated that I was fat, and it was because of these blonde girls. And I thought,
not because of your genetics, parents. Because of random kids.
Well, but here's the thing. So I actually was sympathetic to this because I don't want to see a girl bullied in school and have her feel bad about herself. So I was like, well, what did they say? What did they do that was so terrible to traumatize her so much that not even a friend of hers could date a blonde girl? So I asked her, and she said, I'm not joking. Oh no, they were really nice to me. I said, well, then if they're really nice to you, why do you hate them so much? She's like, their mere presence, they were so beautiful, and they were so, everything about them was so great that my impression of myself, in contrast to that, was that I didn't like myself. Okay. That's terrible. Correct. That's really sad, I think. Okay. But you can't blame all beautiful blonde women for the rest of your life because you feel ugly next to them. It's not their fault. They didn't make themselves beautiful. That's just what happened. Sorry, lady. So now she's like comfortable being black. She's comfortable being fat. She's like happy with herself. But I guess this is like this happiness with herself is predicated on never interacting with a blonde girl ever again.
Yeah, yes.
I mean, she is essentially a bigot because she can't. But see, I think that this problem is kind of pervasive. If you're somebody who looks at other people and you compare yourselves to them all the time, then you're going to be a hateful person. You know, I'm trying to think of somebody who's better than me so I can say how much I hate them as a joke, but I can't think of anyone. Now, that's not because I'm the best person in the world. That's just because I can't think very well because I didn't get much sleep last night. But you get the idea of the joke. It was supposed to be funny. Anyway, moving on. Ugh, that's...
Okay, guys, I guess we can start taking some questions.
No, we can't because
Yes,
I'm
we
not
can.
done ranting. So, my point about this is that I think this is actually kind of a common thing. I speculated about this in the video, and this is why the video got so many views. It's very controversial. I said I think this may be a cultural perception of white people from black people, because white people, we don't really think too much about the history of white culture and how, you know, the Wright brothers invented the airplane, and before that it was like a German guy whose name I can't remember who developed the glider, and it was a German guy who invented the car, and white people invented the wheel. I mean, you could go back that far. We've invented everything, right? We invented computers. We invented, you know, the engineering.
What about peanut butter?
White people actually invented peanut butter. You guys can look it up. That was a
Okay,
myth.
forget about this.
George Washington Carver did not invent peanut butter, although he was a smart man and he did a lot of good science. But he actually didn't invent peanut butter. People would be surprised to know that. Eli Whitney did invent the cotton gin, though,
Cotton gym. Okay.
which I mentioned. I think
have
in the
to
last
remember
video.
this. Yeah, we have 2 super chats.
Oh, you want to read them?
Yeah.
Can you wait for me to finish this? I'm
No.
almost done. I promise. I'm almost done. I promise. I'm almost done. I promise. So, because of my interaction with this girl, and I started to see parallels between what she was saying and how black people talk about white people. So, like, what I'm trying to say is, white people take for granted that white people developed Western civilization, and we don't actually. Most white people, I've never heard of a white person saying, "Oh, I'm awesome because white people historically were awesome." Like, I'm awesome because the Wright brothers were awesome. I'm awesome because Alexander Graham Bell was awesome. I'm awesome because, you know, nobody looks at the inventors of history or the people that contributed a lot to society or great kings or great presidents and says, "Oh, I'm the same color as that person, therefore I'm great too." No white person thinks like that. White people just don't think like that. But black people, for some reason, at least not all black people, obviously, but the ones that, these insufferable ones like her, they'll look at white people and say, "Oh, you can look to all this great stuff and see how great you are, but we don't have any great people to look at and say how great we are." I mean, they have a few. They have like Martin Luther King Jr., you know, certain kinds of people, but it's not like an entire society full of people who developed Western civilization. I mean, when Europeans and black people met, Europeans were in a highly advanced society, and black people were essentially Neolithic. They were the equivalent of Neolithic white people. So there is, I think that this, and white people never talk about that. We never think about that because it is something that is a little bit, obviously we would think people might be sensitive about that, especially considering that if you meet a black person today, they're obviously not Neolithic. They can have, you know, they can be incredibly, they can be far more intelligent than you are. They can be far better in just about every single aspect. And so, you know, typically in our society, we tend to treat everybody by their individual character as opposed to what race they're from. But other types of people don't necessarily see the world that way. And white people forget that because we're sort of conditioned to see people by their character, whereas black people don't always do that. Like a woman like her, she looks at all those white girls and says, "Oh, you all have privilege. You are all part of a group. You are all bad, or you're all this or whatever." That's not the way people should think about things. But when you think about groups like that, you then can start to resent the group. So I do think people like her screaming at those little girls, she's just resentful of the whole white race because she's jealous of them. Mm-hmm. And the key thing that makes me think that is her saying, "You girls with your pretty bows and your pretty hair and your pretty dresses and all this kind of stuff." It's like, girl, why are you jealous of children? Yeah, they're children. Yeah, they're cute. But you're a grown woman and you're jealous of these kids? Grow the
How
F up.
insecure she is.
Unbelievable. Just absolutely disgusting. There's obviously something wrong with her. But
3 super chats.
all right, I'll shut up. All right, on to the questions and comments. Thank you for the super chats, ladies and gentlemen. I'm sorry I went on so long, but I am pissed.
Okay, first one.
First super chat.
Stefan, I don't know how to pronounce your last name. Well, I just call you Stefan. Says Meghan Markle for president. ... of the Victimhood Society.
Meghan Markle, the president of the Victimhood Society. I love it.
Okay.
I love that.
Next one, Frank James.
Mm-hmm.
In 40 years old, I've never seen so much racism as I've seen in the last 5 to 8 years. Racism was dying, and the left is breathing life back into it.
Yeah.
It.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you know what's weird is we basically killed off racism in the 80s. Like when I was growing up, we didn't have that, really any racism, at least where I was growing up. And I think probably in places in America where there was racism, it was probably dying out. But the left went too far. They were like, okay, we want black people to be accepted in every field. We want people to be accepted in society and all this kind of stuff. And pretty much every white person across the board was like finally coming and saying, okay, yeah, that's great. And then someone's, because you get these race baiters and their whole career is based on creating tension between the races. They're not creating tension, but pointing out problems and pointing out issues and pointing out racists. Once they didn't have any racists to point out and criticize, they had to create tension. They had to point out little things that weren't necessarily racism and invent something and say, oh, that's actually bad, that's actually racist. So they created all these new classes of racism, these stupid ideas, these things that aren't racist at all. They'd point out and say, oh, that's racist, because they wanted to keep it going. They wanted to keep the whole victim thing going. They wanted to keep the whole oppression thing going, so they still had something to talk about. And it's those people who ruined it for everybody. But then it went a step further than that even, and people could no longer really... they were still lying and saying there was all this racism in America, but they went one step further and said, not only do black people deserve to be equal to white people because of the history of oppression and because black people were held back for so long, black people deserve to be better than white people. They deserve to have more. They deserve to have more without actually doing any work or trying to achieve anything. They just deserve. And this was a mistake, because then every single white person who hasn't really had, a good hand dealt to them in life is like, well, back the truck up, a-hole. No, you don't deserve anything for doing nothing. You deserve nothing for doing nothing. And if you work hard and you do right, and maybe you deserve something then. But I've worked hard my whole life and I don't have anything. What the hell do you deserve something for? Because your ancestors were hurt? My ancestors, I'm sure, were hurt too. People don't recognize how hard most people's ancestors had it. Most people's ancestors did not have it good. Just because everybody's ancestor wasn't a slave, that doesn't mean they were like, living the high life. All of our ancestors weren't friggin' Meghan Markle. Anyway, moving on to the next question.
Next question from Quantum Football. Okay. Does the Valeria think she'll be able to get an acting job again unless the Daily Wire starts producing more movies and TV shows? Guys, I can't even read English. How am I supposed to get an acting job? I hate acting.
Well, some people probably think you're an actress, because we always say you work in Hollywood.
I do. I hate it.
Well, she doesn't want to say specifically what she does. She does a variety of jobs, but she doesn't actually do acting in the traditional sense.
I'm not trying to be an actress.
She's not trying to be an actress.
I'm a Screen Actors Guild. Probably gonna get a letter says, please resign from Screen Actors Guild, like Trump did.
Like Trump got, yeah.
But whatever. I'm not trying to be an actress. I just do quite a bit of money doing this kind of Hollywood stuff. So
yeah.
I'm not pursuing career. I hate Hollywood.
I was doing some real acting, some voiceover work and stuff like that. And
You're a good actor, Chris.
I certainly am.
You have an education and movies, and I just like to make money.
It's funny. I once had to do angry. I had to do all the emotions in an acting class once, and the only one I knew I couldn't do well is crying because I can't cry. It's. I tried for actually quite a long time. I tried for about I don't know for a few months. I had a friend who could cry on at will. She could cry at will. What was her name? You know the redheaded chick, redheaded girl. My friend Cassie. Cassie could cry anytime she wanted. She was amazing. And I had Cassie trying to train me how to cry, and she couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. So we had an acting exercise. Everybody in the class had to come up, and we each had to do a bunch of different emotions, right? In whatever order this acting coach told us. And the only one I knew I wouldn't be able to do is crying. I knew I could do angry very easily. So I went ahead and I did all the emotions, happy and angry and all this, and he did crying. And what I did for crying is I sort of looked away as if I was ashamed to be crying and acted like I was trying not to cry, right? And because I knew I couldn't actually cry. And we got done with the exercise, and the guy was like going through and criticizing me, and he was really getting on me about the angry. And I'm like, hold on. Angry? I'm like, angry's like easy for me. I get angry, no problem. And he's like, no, you need to work on the angry. And the really funny thing about that is like, I actually am angry a lot. Like it's very easy for me to be angry. But for some reason it didn't come across. And maybe because I wasn't thinking that I was focused too much on the sad thing. But when we got done with it, he's like, I said, no, I think my problem was the sad thing. I don't think that came. And he goes, oh no, the sad was amazing. Everybody in the class goes, yeah, the sad was amazing. I was like, hey. So I mean, acting's kind of a fun thing if you're kind of good at it naturally, to just play with that and go to these classes and do a movie and all that. Like it's good fun. But yeah. Anyway, I can tell you all kinds of stories from acting. I don't know why I went into that. Anyway, acting, good fun. Random. Anyway, next comment. Anything else? Anything interesting?
Well, I think because we did 2 hours yesterday, I think we can be.
Okay, are we about good? Let's see. Anonymous writes, Chris is an amazing actor. He's playing the part of a conservative. He's actually a communist. Yes, this whole time. I don't think that's possible. I've talked to some other conservatives about it. And you really can't do this job if you're faking, because I don't know how you could. I don't know how you could be genuine.
Well, I'm faking that I'm leftist every time I see crop talks about
out here
Trump
in
and
Hollywood.
Republicans.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, sure.
Let me guys tell you a story about Hollywood real quick. So there was one time when I was on a TV show working as a PA. This is a long time ago, maybe 15 years ago or something like that, like 2005, I think, 2005. And my brother came to visit the set. This is over at Warner Brothers, and so I was hanging out with the actress who starred in the TV show. She used to have all the guys, all the hot guys from set used to go have drinks in her dressing room after the like a little party, like a mini party after we would shoot. Right, they would have the main party on the soundstage, and then there was like the hot guys party in her dressing room, which is it's true. That's what we do. It's weird. Anyway, so I mean, it was just chit chat. It wasn't anything weird. Glasses of wine and chit chat, and so one day, so I asked my brother. My brother came around, and I asked her if he could come hang out with us. So my brother was hanging out, and at one point, it was me and my brother and her and one of the managers of one of the other actors, and the two of them were mainly doing the talking, and they were just talking so much crap about Republicans and saying all this nasty stuff, and I could see my brother getting more and more angry.
Which one was it?
John, my brother John. And you could
because
see
that would be Nick. He would kill everyone there. Okay.
I know. And I could just see my brother like looking back and forth as they're talking, like watching a tennis match, and just getting more and more angry. And I could tell that he was just like, that he wanted to say something. I didn't want him to say anything. And I was kind of freaking out because I was like, oh my gosh, I'm going to get fired. I was pretty young, I was like, I think I was 25. And I was like, I don't know what to do. So then suddenly, as the tension is building, I just go, like, in the conversation, everybody looked at me like, what was that? And I'm like, I don't know. I know we laughed, and my brother was like, "Why did you make that noise?" I'm like, "I thought you were gonna say something," and he's like, "I'm not an idiot. I wasn't gonna say anything." I'm like, "Okay, well, that's a stupid thing for me to do then." But I was terrified. I was terrified that he was gonna say
Well,
something.
I kind of know how to spot conservative on studios like Sony Pictures and other.
Yeah,
After we were done, I went to the parking garage and
Yeah.
called the elevator, and the other crew guy, the kind of old white guy, came,
yeah.
and we went to elevator and just both took the masks off and looked at each
Oh, so
other
you've got a nice symbol now.
and
Yeah.
looked at
Oh, I
each
love it.
other
I love it.
like, and he has a American flag on his head,
Perfect,
and
yeah.
I was like,
Uh,
we know what, we know what's
you're
up.
like you know who my husband is, don't you? And, no, when I was on that same show, there was a guy named, I think his name was Hector. It's a long time ago, I can't remember, but it was a black guy actually, black guy, and he said something once political a little bit, and I kind of was like, no, it can't be. So I was like, hey, Hector, and so we start talking, and I'm like, holy crap, he was a Republican, and so little teenage girls talking about the the hot quarterback or something in junior high school, we would sneak off to the corner and we would talk about being a Republican, and it was like we'd have these secret, like all the time on set, we'd be like, oh, stop it, we'd sneak over, like it was like our little secret, we couldn't tell anybody. But oh man, yeah, I love that guy. He was such a breath of fresh air when you're in Hollywood and you find a Republican, you can sneak off and talk. Oh, it's an amazing feeling. It's like a brother. The guy's like a brother.
We have another super chat.
Oh, okay.
Jordan B, what topics do you both of you talk about most in 2021?
What do we talk about? What do we talk
Race.
about? Oh, well, you mean on the show? We talk
Yeah.
about race. We talk about race. I hate talking about race. I'm gonna
hate,
tell you,
I hate
I'm
talking
so
about it
sick
too.
of it.
That's why we get demonetized all the time.
Well, I'll tell you what. So, but it is a topic that we need to talk about because it just comes up all the time. But what do we talk about in private? Because we don't really talk politics that much in private.
You
think we do?
sure?
Well, it's
Talk-
Biden. If we read something funny or interesting in the news, but like, what do we talk about in 2021? We don't actually talk really about COVID that much. We don't. What do we talk about? What do we talk about?
We talk about everything: COVID, politics, traveling, moving out, get the hell out.
Yeah, we
California.
bicker a little bit. The one difference Valeria and I have is where we want to live. We have very distinct ideas about where we want to live or where we don't want to live. And so, like, for instance, I'm like, we can move wherever we want. I mean, except for she can't leave the country, so we can't leave the country. But I said, well, we can move to Hawaii.
Most common topic: Chris's ex-girlfriends. True.
Dude, seriously? I mean, I'm not in trouble here yet. You don't need to get me in trouble. Yeah. Anyway, I don't. We talk about moving a lot, actually, way more than we should. I broke the bed today, and it wasn't even doing anything fun. There was no we weren't even exercising. Yeah, I just sat on the bed and it broke because I'm so unbelievably fat. We talk about that quite a bit. How fat I am. Oh, I need more shirts because I've gained another size. I actually bought a bunch of shirts that were way too big, and I had to return them. I overestimated how big I was. Yeah, but that bed right there. So you guys can't see it, but so I laid down the bed, and actually I think there was a crack in the wood or something because it literally split the wood in half. It didn't even make sense how it broke. It must have been. I'm calling this a manufacturer defect because I may be fat, but that's ridiculous. Anyways, the bed broke. I sunk way down, and I had to get up, and then I was trying to get her to hold the little piece of wood up while I
Broke
drilled.
the bed, no collar is required.
I was trying to drill screws into it, but Valeria couldn't hold it up, so I had to hold it up because it was a little bit heavy. I had to hold it up and pinch it in while she drilled all the screws into it. Yeah, that isn't a euphemism. That's regular. This literal. Anyway, so yeah, we got it back together. I think it's stable. What do you think? I think it can hold my weight. Yeah. Oh, we're losing viewers. Listen, viewers, we better go. Chris broke the bed.
Let's
Quit
go.
bragging. Yeah, Zombie Teddy says quit bragging. I do suspect that it is from a little bit of overuse over the past years, but we sleep hard. We're hard sleepers. All right, shall we Shall we go?
Yeah, I'm done.
I'm done. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you again for a lovely episode, for sticking with us, even though we're talking about our marital issues. And we will be back tomorrow. So hopefully we'll have some good stories then. Until then, you have a wonderful night. You want to say goodbye?
Good. I'm just reading people's
You
comments.
want to read one last comment before you go?
I just like that comment from, I think Jesus is God saying one word, 3 letters, fat, 3 exclamation mark.
You need to change your name from Jesus is God to like, I'm not very nice.
Okay, chat disconnected. Okay, we need to be done. There's some problem with connections.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are out. We'll see you tomorrow night.